In this video, we will show you how to replace your power steering line. On this Lincoln Navigator, this is the power steering line that goes between your power steering box and your power steering cooler. Let's get into it. Alright friends, let's get started on our job. Pop the hood and make your way over to the power steering reservoir. We'll open this cap. Give the seal on the cap a quick inspection to make sure it is still soft and pliable and it's not torn, worn, or damaged in any way. Once you've done that, you can set it aside. Now when you go to add to this in the end, you're going to be using Mercon ATF. That's transmission fluid. Let's remove as much fluid from this as possible. I've got my fluid vacuum. The next thing you'll want to do is make your way underneath the front of the vehicle. We're going to remove the skid shield that comes across the front of the frame. For this, you're going to find several 13mm headed bolts holding it in place. Remove all 6. Make sure you're holding that shield for the last one so it doesn't fall and hurt you. Remove the shield. Now that we have the shield out of the way, we have a clear view of our steering box, and if you were to follow that backward, you're going to find a plastic cover. Now this is a 2-piece plastic cover. You want to leave the area with the 2 ears on the power steering box, but press the outer portion away. Now the next thing we're going to do is make our way to the top of the power steering box. On top of this area, you're going to find that you have 2 power steering lines going into it. The line that we are going to be removing from the power steering box is the rearward line, closest to the steering shaft. Use a 16mm wrench or crow's foot to loosen this and remove the line from the box. Keep in mind there could still be power steering fluid in this area, so make sure you have a collection bucket under here to recycle the fluid properly. Now you can follow that hose all the way to where it connects onto the power steering cooler. We're going to be dealing with the hose that's towards the passenger side, not the one that's facing towards the driver's side frame. You can use some pliers or a hose clamp disconnect tool for this. We'll squeeze the clamp and slide it out of the way. The next thing you'll want to do is release the hose from the tube itself. Be extremely careful not to damage the power steering cooler when you remove this. Let's use a hose pick for this. You'll notice that I use a tiny bit of lubricant on this. I just use a silicone paste. You can use whatever you want. Just make my way around so I can separate this. Make sure you have a collection bucket under this area in case a little bit drips down on you. With that separated, we can remove this from the vehicle. There it is, friends. All right, let's get ready to install that brand new line. Before you put it in place, make sure you put on a brand new O-ring on the end of the line that goes onto the power steering box. Slide that right into place. Double check to make sure it's seated all the way around. Now we can take this and put it in place. We're going to start by putting it onto the power steering box before we put it onto the power steering cooler. Get this up here, make our way up top. Let's get this lined up with the power steering box. Make sure you start it in by hand so you're sure that you do not cross thread it into the power steering box and damage the box or the line itself. Right there's where it feels as though it bottomed out. I'm going to check to make sure that the line is properly aligned and it's not rubbing on anything. Once I've done that, I'll make sure that it's nice and tight. There we go. Let's make our way back to where the line connects onto the power steering cooler. To easily put the hose onto the steering cooler, I'll use some long nose pliers. Carefully give this a little twist and slide it into position. Let's grab that clamp and put it in position, holding the hose to the power steering cooler. Make sure the hose is completely secured to the cooler. Clean your mess. Now let's reach up in here and we'll put back on our protective plastic piece. As we start aligning this, let's feel up along the top. We're going to make sure that we put it over the power steering line. Should slide right into position and lock in. Now we can start putting our shield back on here. Start in all 6 of your 13mm mounting bolts and then snug them up. Let's make our way over to the power steering reservoir with a funnel and start filling that power steering system with Mercon transmission fluid. Now, once you have your fluid up to at least the maximum level, we're going to go ahead and get inside of the vehicle and turn the wheel from one side all the way to the other several times. What that will do is burp out the air from in the system and allow the fluid to make its way down in. Now we can make our way into the passenger compartment. I'm going to put the key in the on position and turn the wheel from side to side. Have a look inside this reservoir. You're going to see all the air bubbles making their way up as the fluid makes its way down. As we continue doing this, let's make sure that we continue checking the fluid level and adding as necessary. Once you feel as though you see no air coming out of the power steering system, go ahead and make your way into the passenger compartment and start up the vehicle. Continue turning the wheel from side to side several times. Make your way back out here and double check to make sure you don't see any air coming out of the fluid. Assuming that looks good, double check to make sure you're at least up to the maximum line on the power steering reservoir. Continue on to reinstalling your power steering cap, close the hood, and take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.